It's time to talk fantasy football. It's time to let them know. Where you let us crunch the numbers while you crush the competition. So grab your playbooks and crack a cold one, because here's your hosts, Teak and Baney.
Welcome back, guys. It's Christmas week here with the boys, going over our week 16 starts. But it's going to be a weird week here. We got some Saturday games rolling in. I know we were talking about it for the podcast. What do you guys think about the Saturday games?
I don't like it. It's just too much to prepare for a day early, But, football, can't complain. There's going to be a July, August weekday coming up where we're just going to be begging for football any day we can get it. So I guess we shouldn't complain.
Yeah, I don't mind the Saturday games, especially because we're off this Saturday. So we get to kick back and enjoy some games with some family. And then we get to do it again on Sunday.
And Monday. Got
And
Christmas
Monday.
Day game, too. This
3
is a
days
weird
in
week.
a row.
Isn't there a couple Christmas Day games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eagles play. San Francisco play the Ravens, the night game. It's going to be a good slate of football, I think.
So we're all bundled up here. So let's just get it underway here. Who wants to take the first lick here? We're going QB starts.
Don't we have a mailbag?
Oh, we do. I'm out of it.
My man's
the
excited to get to his QB.
I had the You've Got Mail went off. I didn't forget it.
You've got
mail.
Man, I'm excited. I can't believe I forgot about this guy. Big fan of his podcast, Steelers by the Lake. James Strong have a video entry here. We'll get it underway. Thanks for reminding me, Bash. Jeez.
James Strong calling in here from Steelers by the Lake podcast. The Let 'em Know boys here. TK, Baney, and Badge. I got a serious question for you guys. Obviously, as a Steelers fan, this season has not gone the way we were hoping. My question to you guys is, if you're in a keeper league, is there anyone on this Steelers offense that you're actually going to keep for the next season? Really concerned the answer is no. Not a lot of building blocks right now, it seems. Lots of later round guys. Who would you even consider in the top 5 rounds of a pick next year? Appreciate it. Love the show, guys.
Well, I think we can all agree it's fair if I take this one. So before I get started, hey, James, I love you, man. Great guy right there. Appreciate the question, too. Also, you can go follow James. He runs a podcast as well. Steelers by the Lake, great for Steelers fans. I listen to it. These guys don't miss a beat. They do it all year round. You can follow them on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. So thanks, James. Big shout out to you guys. Love the content you guys put out. So to break down your question, the only guy that I would possibly think about keeping is the only guy on that offense that is playing with some heart. And that's Jaylen Warren. So he's a guy, he knows playing in the NFL is a privilege. And he's running like it. He's taking every snap, every opportunity. If there's anyone that I'm going to keep, it's going to be Jaylen Warren. So that's all I got. Thanks again, James, for the question. I'll pass it down to Baney.
Yeah, James, we love you. We appreciate you reaching out. That being said, I'm not going to keep anybody for the next year. It is nice getting a keeper question, though. We get a lot of dynasty questions, stuff like that. This is something different to think about. However, it's just no consistency for me. I'd have to know what the quarterback situation looks like next year. And yeah, I don't know. It's a bummer. Teak and I did our breakout players episode at the beginning of the year, and I had Deontay, he had Pickens, and yeah, I think I've jumped off that cliff. So I wouldn't keep either of them. That's my advice.
For me, it depends on what kind of keeper league it is. So depending on where you draft guys, you just lose a round next year. Does it go halfway up? That's kind of what I would like to know. So just based off that, I'm kind of on with Badge, where you drafted Jaylen Warren, or you even draft him if he's a waiver stash. I don't know if you can keep waiver stashes or not, but I would keep Jalen Warren, and that's probably your most bang for your buck guy right there. If not, if you want me to pick receiver, you're gonna hold my arm. I'm gonna probably go with Deontay Johnson. I think Pickens. They should send Pickens elsewhere and get some picks for him. Just I don't like the attitude that he brings to that team, the locker room. It's giving me AB vibes, but without AB's production. So that's the way I look at it.
Yep. That's a nice plug with the waiver stash right there. That is a nice little plug right there.
But
You're the man, James.
again, yeah, follow the podcast if you're a Steelers fan. If you like listening to Pittsburgh Steelers football, there you go. But let's get to the starts here, boys. Playoffs.
Playoffs.
We're in the fancy playoffs here. We're gonna go QBs first here. Who wants to take the reign here? I know you guys have a little schedule, like who you guys like to go first here.
Badge, what do you want to do? You want it or you want me?
Go ahead, Baney.
All right. Common name, common disagreement, Justin Fields. Last 4 weeks has been about as consistently inconsistent as you can get. QB 8, QB 24, QB 3, and again, QB, I think, 24. The trend is his big weeks are his rushing weeks and no turnovers. The bad weeks, the turnovers. That being said, it's a great matchup this week for him to be able to run the ball. And yeah, we said it last week. I just think the Bears are going to play themselves into repeating this exact situation next year. Fields has been playing relatively decent. I know he has a couple picks last week, but the Hail Marys and the call at the end of the half, it's not really his fault. But yeah, I just think he's going to get it done with his legs this week. So fire up Fields.
Yeah, Baney, I completely 100% agree with you because Fields is mine as well. So we can keep this guy on the screen. There's no surprise here. The Cardinals' defense has not been very good this year. They're allowing over 20 points to opposing quarterbacks this year in fantasy. Coming to your playoffs, this is a great matchup. I would definitely start Fields. Arizona's defense is also allowing an average of 2 touchdowns per game to opposing quarterbacks. That's the third most in the league. So going with this matchup, like Baney said, Fields' legs are always a weapon as well. Now his deep ball's starting to come along too. Him and DJ Moore are starting to click. He's starting to find some guys. He had a nice ball that was dropped for a touchdown in that game. Solid matchup in your fantasy lineup for the playoffs and DFS lineups as well. So I am starting Justin Fields this week.
I think it's well documented how I feel about Justin Fields. He's too streaky for me, man. It's playoff time. I need someone who I can depend on, and that's my main thing. And yeah, if he runs, that's been the thing all year. And he's not been doing that consistently. So it's you playing a boom week where you're hoping. I guess I could see more DFS lineups than if we're talking for playoffs, but that's just my look at it.
That's your potential QB in Atlanta next year, Teak. You got to be nicer than that.
If the news you told me before that Art's not sold on Art, then it might not be true, and I'm okay with it.
I got that ding notification before we came down and started this up where they're talking about how this year hasn't gone to plan, and now they're talking about Arthur not being there next year. I know that's news. That's music to your ears.
Oh, 100%. But my QB here, obviously you're going to start this guy. No, I got a lot of pushback last week because someone had Stafford and played Allen instead, but I don't know how you sit this guy. It's Josh Allen. It is a must-win game for the Bills for playoff contention. So the Bills are going to be 100% in this game. It's a smash start on every platform, DFS, DraftKings, Underdog, you name it. I'm playing him everywhere I can. On top of that, he's going against one of the worst defenses, Chargers. It couldn't be a more beautiful matchup in every aspect for this guy. And it's full throttle for these Bills if they want to make playoffs because it's not guaranteed either. So,
yeah, they got to win out 100%. It's going to be a great week to stack Bills players in DFS. Him, James Cook, anybody. The water boy, they're going to have points this week against that defense.
Oh, yeah, like you said, must-win game. Great matchup against the Chargers. Completely agree. 2 words, Aiden O'Connell. Look what he did to that defense. Must start. I'm probably going to be paying for him in some DFS lineups as well. Bills, I do not see him missing the playoffs. I said it 3 weeks ago. They're going to get in. I knew this was going to happen. I knew they were going to get back on track. It's going to continue. They're going to absolutely destroy the Chargers. Allen's going to have a huge day.
All right, boys. Moving on to the running backs.
Yeah, fire up the Gus bus. Fill it up with diesel and get it back running. Keaton Mitchell's knee injury, that was brutal. I don't know if you guys saw that video. Just gruesome injury. Hope he gets back. I think they did confirm it's an ACL. At one point, Gus Edwards was the number 1 fantasy player in football for a minute. It's all those red zone touchdowns. That being said, you're going to have to deal with Lamar. You're going to have to deal with Justice Hill sniping some touches here and there. However, I just think that red zone role is way too valuable in this offense. And, yeah, I mean, even this week against San Francisco, we saw what James Conner did last week. San Francisco's dealing with a couple injuries to their interior linemen. I think it's a possibility Gus Edwards gets in the red zone this week, gets a couple touchdowns.
So I'm torn with this one. One thing I like, Gus is probably going to be the bell cow with Mitchell's injury. One thing too, I mean, San Fran's defense. I know what Connor did, but still, I mean, I think they're gonna have to throw the win. So I mean, I like it. Probably get him cheap in DFS. Like Baney said, if he gets in the red zone, he's gonna be the guy. So that's all I got. Teak?
I'm also 50-50 on this too, just because not only what you mentioned about San Fran's defense, but it's been a carousel of running backs here with injuries. And this, I think Gus got hurt, 1 or 2 times this year too?
It's their way of doing business, man. If you're a Baltimore running back, you get hurt. I don't know what it is about it, but
when he's in there and he's playing, he's getting that volume, man. He is a terror. So, but yeah, that's my only concern is the injuries and that defense, which is huge. But Badge, who do you have for the running back position?
So my stardom running back, I'm going Derrick Henry against Seattle. So, and the reason I'm going a big name this week, we kind of like to throw spot starts in here and there, but the big name this week, it's your playoffs. So, and the reason I'm mentioning him, I had him on my team. I lost. I know he had a measly 5 fantasy points last week. So I don't want you guys to be worried. I don't want you to think about not starting him. If you're fortunate to advance and you have him on your team, don't worry. I feel this is a great matchup against Seattle. They're allowing 20 points to running backs per game. I feel this is a huge bounce back spot for Derrick Henry, especially with Will Levis out. I believe he's out. I mean, that injury, I don't see him playing. So I think they're going to lean on that run game even more now. So I expect the Titans to feed him, and I expect him to score some touchdowns, get some yards, bounce back. So I'm starting Derrick Henry.
So I was going to ask this question during the sits. I don't have him as my sit, but I was just going to ask you boys, like, if you were surprised by some of the blunders we saw this week. This was one of the guys I was going to ask you about. I think he averaged less than a yard a carry last week. Just brutal. And the worst part was his interview after the game saying, like, it might have been the last time he puts on the jersey, yada, yada, everything. I mean, I think he'll probably finish the year out there. But, yeah, like you said, these Titans players, they fire him up and they'll give him 20-some carries next week, or he might see 8 snaps next week, and they highlight Spears. I just don't know, but my biggest advice is there's certain names you can't leave on your bench in the playoffs, and just you can't live with yourself if you have a 30-point Derrick Henry performance on your bench at this point. You just can't. So, yeah, I get it, Bedge. You drafted this guy for a reason, and you have to hope that he shows up for you.
Yep, I just don't want anyone to get discouraged by last week.
I am going to get discouraged because Seattle's no pushover defense, man. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw Jamal Adams is a healthy scratch coming into this next one already. He just is not going to travel with the team, apparently. So I don't know if you guys seen that. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on there, but
Just one of the worst all-time trades ever by a franchise. I think that goes up there. He's been a total bummer for Seattle.
yeah, I don't think they're pushovers. I like the rookie cornerback Witherspoon. Not like he's gonna be a huge run stopper, but I like what the defense that's there. But you never know in this league. But moving on here, for my start here, I got James Cook. If you're gonna see this trend of what I'm doing here, had a huge week ever since they got that new OC. Like Vaney said, been flourishing in that offense. He continues this trend. Chargers. Chargers. I'm going to pound Chargers for the rest of the season. If you got them against them, play them. It's ridiculous how bad this team is. So we thought it was going to be Arizona this year, but it actually ended up being the Chargers. So I'm all for James Cook.
I hope you're riding. Hopefully, I started a trend last week. I think he was my all-time hit of the year for a starts list because he was my start last week and blew up. And that being said, I think this is a great spot. It's definitely a way better matchup for him this week. I could see them getting up early and then him just running the rest of the game. So, yeah, James Cook, I think he's going to be a league winner this year, and you're going to find out.
No arguments with me here. James Cook, these past 2 games, has been absolutely cooking. And he cooked me in the fantasy playoffs. I played against him, along with Sam Laporta and others. So I lost that week in my fantasy playoffs. But, yeah, coming against the Chargers, must start. I'm hammering him in DFS lineups as well. He can catch. He can run. He's a huge piece of that offense. Bills love him. Got to start him.
All right. Moving on here. Going down the line. Wide receivers.
Great. So now I get to jump on the road on the same train here. Stephon Diggs. Just basically don't overthink it. I did went live on TikTok before kickoff on Sunday, and this was probably my most asked about player was, do I sit Diggs? I know he has 4 of his last 5 weeks single-digit performances. He's had a 54, 54, 52nd, and a 41st ranked finish. I know that's not what you drafted Diggs for. I know you're bummed in his performances. However, Chargers defense has given up nearly 4,000 passing yards this year. Just don't overthink it. Don't try to get cute. Like I said with the Derrick Henry pick, there's some players you just can't live with sitting on your bench this time of the year. It's Stephon Diggs. You can't have a Stephon Diggs blow-up game on your bench. But, yeah, Stephon Diggs, smash play this week.
Yeah, this is another one. Don't get discouraged. I'm calling it now. Diggs is going to be in our next week's recap in the top 5. So he's going to have 20-plus points. They're going to go off against this Chargers D. It's a must-win game, and it's the Chargers. Look what Aiden O'Connell did. Like Vaney said, don't overthink it. Got to start Diggs. You probably took him in the first, second round. Start him. He's going to do what he's going to do for you, what you drafted him for.
I think you guys nailed it. I think you guys know how I feel about the Chargers. It's another smash start for me. But, Badge, who's your wide out here?
So I'm going to the battle of the Florida teams. So I'm starting Chris Godwin against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He had a monster game last week with Baker. He's looking very comfortable getting him the ball. After a performance coming with a great matchup against the Jags, I see no reason to sit him this week. I'm rolling with a hot hand. Godwin has another big day against his Jacksonville Jaguars defense, who are allowing 22 fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Starting Godwin again this week.
Yeah, who would have guessed Baker among the league leaders in passing touchdowns this year? Yeah, also first ever quarterback to post a perfect passer rating in Lambeau. Yeah, Godwin, hopefully we get a duplicate performance of that because year in, year out, he's been a PPR monster in fantasy leagues. If you sat on him this long, you're finally seeing the production you hoped for all year. I think this is a great start. Hopefully they're on to something there.
Yeah, last 2 weeks, he's averaging 11.5 targets. That's huge. That's that Michael Pittman range there. So, yeah, he's bound to produce with those numbers. So hopefully they can keep it rolling there in Tampa and he gets those targets. But moving on here. This guy's coming along strong here. I think he's going to end up, well, he is the number one wide out there in Kansas City, and I'm going Rashee Rice. Hitting his stride, definitely going to next year. Draft stock's going up as well. Last 5 games has 9+ targets, has 3 top 12 finishes at the wide receiver position. That's huge. And besides Kelsey being the best option there, he's the next best option there, especially at the wide receiver position. So I'm going Rashee Rice for this week again.
Teak, you got to let these people know, man. If they were in on us at the beginning of the season when we were doing our pre-draft shows, we did a rookie episode. Rashee Rice was showcased on that episode. We talked about him. He was on our top 5 list, and we're finally seeing it. He's finally hitting wide receiver 1 numbers, 80% route runs. Like, it's no surprise why he's doing this, and it helps when Kadarius Toney is not usable at all, and Rashee Rice is now on the IR, so these are even more targets going to Rashee Rice this week. So fire up Rashee Rice, fire him up DFS, every league you have him in. Easy play.
Teak, you nailed it. This stock is rising like GameStop in 2020. It's going straight up the chart. Yeah, you got to start him. I mean, he's the only guy, the wide receiver over there that's doing anything from Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he trusts him. He's going to get the guy to – he's going to go to the guys that he trusts and have confidence in. Like he said, Tony, those drops, oh, my God. I saw a Tony drop montage today. That was brutal to watch. I can't imagine how that guy feels. But, yeah, Rashee Rice, especially next year's draft, his stock is going up. So I like the start. Andy Reid also seems to have the Raiders number. So, great start.
And finish it off here, the tight ends.
We're going with everybody's favorite mac and cheese, Tucker Kraft. Last 4 weeks is a real positive trend. Targets, receptions, fantasy points, it's all going in a real positive direction for you on an offense that has really seemed to be throwing the ball well lately. 3 of his last 4 weeks have been top 12 finishes. His peaked at a tight end 6. And it's just a real favorable matchup versus Carolina. I just think you fire him up, to be honest with you. He is stepped into that Musgrave role, and I think he's excelled pretty well. Yeah, that's all I got. Deeper leagues, I think he's a must. You can get him real cheap in DFS lineups. So Tucker Kraft, fired up.
Yeah, especially with Musgrave, him taking over that role, he's really stepped up with 16 targets in the last 3 games. So targets are key. The only thing that might worry me here too, though, is Carolina's pass defense has been a little sneaky good. Not many people think about that, but he is the guy. Benny said he's cheap in DFS lineups as well. If you're like me, all year in one of my leagues, I've been doing spot start tight ends. So if you got him, I mean, the targets are there, but don't underestimate that Carolina pass defense.
Here's the thing. I'm a little confused about something here, and maybe you guys can answer for me. Did he get hurt in last week's game?
I'm not sure.
I have yet to find anything on it or what, but he's projected 0.04 points.
Is he questionable this week?
I'm looking for any news I can, and I can't find a single thing on it. And then to go off that, the next 2 weeks, he's only projected a point each. That kind of scares me a little bit. But, hey, maybe it's a glitch. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, he stepped in that Luke Musgrave role. We thought Luke Musgrave was going to be that guy, and it's starting to look like it's going to be Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, you are right about the concern, though, because everything I'm looking up is showing him as a top waiver wire target this week. And then if I look him up.
And what else is crazy is he's 3rd on the depth chart at the tight end position as well, which is nuts.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on here.
Do I need to get Joe Fry on the phone? He lives in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, we might be doing. What are you looking at it on actually? Because I have him projected at 8.4 fantasy points on ESPN, full PPR. No
Sleeper.
questionable tag, no nothing.
Sleeper, no questionable tag, no nothing.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
The
they
one-
must just be an issue with Sleeper because they got him ready to go.
Oh, well, there you go. That's why I asked.
Yeah, nope. It must be an issue with Sleeper at the moment because ESPN has him ready to go, full bore.
All
He's
right.
ready to fire up.
Badge, who do you have at the tight end position?
So once again in my fantasy playoffs, I'm rolling with the hot hand. I'm starting Hunter Henry against Denver. So Henry scored 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. He seems to be Zappy's guy, especially in the red zone. This guy's really turned it on over these past few weeks. Denver's defense, believe it or not, has given up the most fantasy points to tight ends this year. Last week, Sam Laporta had 3. I'm hoping Henry does the same. Give me Henry, keeping his touchdown streak alive at 3. Starting Hunter Henry this week.
I like it. As long as they can keep throwing the ball well, I like it. Really have no issues besides the streakiness to this pass offense. But, I mean, when he scores in bunches. So it very well could be the difference between you winning or losing a week as if he has a big week. So I don't hate it.
Yeah. I'm all for Hunter Henry. I know it cost me sitting him last week over your boy Fryermuth, but that's here nor there.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
Actually, I'm going to bring it up right now. My start this week is Pat Fryermuth.
Oh, wow.
Oh, baby, let's go. I thought you were going to play the clip of me through the window.
Bengals don't fare well versus tight ends, allowing double-digit points in fantasy. I expect a heavy dose of the Muth chance this week.
Can I get a real one?
You're not getting it from me.
Woo!
You're not getting it from me. But they move on because they have the Christmas spirit, and Rudolph is in at center for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm going Big Daddy Muth.
I got burned when I put him on my starts list, and I just don't know if I can get behind it. But the stats are there to back it up. Mason Rudolph's in this week, so who knows what variation of this offense we're going to get. So, yeah, that's all I got for this start. I'm all out on Steelers offense rest of the year.
I love the start. I'm biased. I got my ugly sweater on because this season's been ugly. So Muth's going to have a big game. You're going to hear me go, Muth, all day.
Oh,
Hey, Teak, real quick, just to clear up that whole Kraft situation, it was kind of messy. Just want to put a bow on that. Sleeper definitely is not caught up on the projections. They do have exactly what you said. However, their articles written are 5 straight multi-catch efforts, making him a viable option in fantasy moving forward for Week 16. ESPN is updated with his correct projections, almost 9 points. So something's wrong with Sleeper scoring. So if you're in Sleeper League, definitely pay attention to that. Kraft is the guy moving forward for them. So I'm glad you mentioned it. I mean, that could really screw somebody up if they're looking at Sleeper projections. That's a big doozy on them right now. So
yeah, this is the first time for them. But that does wrap up the starts episode. Badge, why don't you just take us out here?
Guys, we love you. Do us a favor, hit subscribe right now. Join the movement. Follow us. Get a lot of free stuff, a lot of free advice. Also, I want to give a big shout out to our partners at Underdog Fantasy. Go to the App Store, download the app, Underdog Fantasy. They're going to match a deposit minimum of $10 all the way up to $100. A free 100 smackaroos, okay? Free. If it's free, it's for me. Go download that app. Give us a shout out. Hit subscribe. Give Underdog a shout out. Use promo code Let Them Know. You guys have a Merry Christmas. We love you all. Happy holidays. Enjoy.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Let 'Em Know Fantasy Football Podcast. Join our community and follow us on all socials, or keep up with the episodes on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.